Monday, November 1st, at the Chestertown Town Council meeting, what I was able to do was bring some community members to the council for them to air their grievances, complaints, and concern about where they live that within the town limits in federally regulated housing. More specifically, the TM Associates complex named Brookmeadow Apartments. And what we did at this at this council meeting was bring six African American families, it happened to be this time, to the council to tell the council about unfair practices, discrimination, situations in the household where mold and mildew is present, situations where maybe your maintenance requests aren't getting fixed fast enough. Just making the town aware of the living conditions of their residents and tenants and the unfair practices, discrimination, and prejudice based upon living in federal regulated housing. So that was the concern that was brought to me as a community leader. I'm also a resident and tenant in that complex, so this was one of those situations that kind of is not only touching close to home, it is my home. So we have as many as 18 families who wanted to actually be a part of the whole process that we started on November 1st. But due to intimidation or things of that nature, we were only able to bring 6 to the council meeting and tell them about those issues in our community. So to give that council meeting context, what happened was in Brookmeadow's apartment in June or July of 2020, all the tenants were brought outside for a big community type meeting where we were told that the apartment complex would get renovated. Now, Brookmeadows is broke up into 2 parts. Brookmeadows 1, Brookmeadows 2. So basically just think up the hill and down the hill. But all 70-something tenants, I think it is there, were told about this process. And there were only 3 things said out loud verbally. The first was, if we move you off the property during renovation, you will not have to pay rent until you return back to your unit, but also all expenses would be covered by them, whether that was insurance to get into the complex that they're sending you to, whether that was providing boxes or the price for the moving company who would move you. That was told to us. The second thing that was told to us, that if you move with a family member or a friend, it would be some type of stipulation where they would pay them for like the subsidized rent amount that you're there, because it's an inconvenience to you and your family and to their family. And then the third thing would be you would just get moved from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill. This was scheduled to happen October 1st, 2020. That's what we were told. When we went to the council meeting and we were able to obtain some public information, we found out that the renovation permit was not even applied for till September of 2021. So you have families during a pandemic who live in low-income housing who are uprooted and moved a year before you even filed the permit. We also have found out that they didn't even plan to start the renovation process until November of 2021. There were several complaints and several issues before the renovation even happened. The mold and mildew issues were prior to October 2021. The discrimination and the unfair practices of TM Associates were prior to 2021 and 2020. It was prior. But what happened was we started getting inconsistent information. Now, from my understanding in federal housing, one rule is for everyone. So if you tell me you're not paying my rent and you move me off the property, then the same person or other families that got moved off the property should have the same rules. What we are finding out is the property manager is kind of making up rules as she goes, and they're not giving us any consistent information. We have someone who was moved during the renovation process, who lived in a 2-bedroom apartment, got moved out and moved back onto the property to a 1-bedroom apartment, and she still has to pay 2-bedroom apartment rent, and her rent was raised. You're living out of boxes, you're waiting to be told when you can move, where you're going, and you're still being mistreated just by the mere presence of in a 1-bedroom apartment paying 2-bedroom rent. So after we went to the council meeting, what we wanted to do was just start going through the process of raising awareness in our community. So we had a community dialogue in person at Washington College, and I want to say this on camera, much appreciation and gratitude to the Washington College student body, because the student body has jumped on this and they have helped us get some steam and moving all of this forward to where now we're starting to get some answers from some people about what goes on in federal regulated housing or Maryland rural housing. We currently, with the Washington College student body, we're able to obtain right now, and we just started the petition this week, but we were able to obtain over 300 signatures already about this and raising awareness. We're working on a resolution to send to local, state, and federal elected officials, and also to anyone looking to run for those positions. We're also going to send that resolution to nonprofit and organizations within Kent County that mission statements reflect helping the community, whether that's minorities and people of color or whether that's people who live in poverty. We have a lot of resources and nonprofits here that should step up to the plate and start taking these things into consideration. These complaints are not solely just to Brookmeadow's apartment. Right now, because we're the tenants that came up first, we're going to focus on that complex. But these complaints and these issues are widespread throughout Kent County in affordable housing. And in affordable housing here, where a lot of lower income people live, there are a lot of complaints that resonate with us all.